Sweet. Hey, hi, hello, welcome back, Alexandrine Codex. Let's go. You know, it would really be a service to me if I remembered that it doesn't just instantly launch, that it has to... Oh, it has to load. So, I will say, probably like 24 hours ago, I knew next to nothing about, a little over 24 hours ago, I knew next to nothing about Texas energy grid. It took like an afternoon of researching and reading on its history to be like, oh wow, this is really fucking bad. Like, incredibly corrupt. I just... Imagine being in the 1940s, seeing that the United States government, as part of the New Deal, is trying to consolidate federal authority and standardize practices regarding energy production and energy allocation. And your reaction to that is, well, guess I'm gonna not. I don't know, we don't need regulation here. We don't need regulation. It's a little more nuanced than that. What it really were corporations, utility companies in Texas, pulling an God, what is it, MPAA, and being like, oh no, we can't have the government deciding what we can and can't do. We're gonna decide for ourselves. So a fucking group of corporate entities came together to be like, yes, we'll hold ourselves accountable. We'll regulate ourselves. And when in history has ever that gone wrong, huh? Never. That's only ever gone right. So, quite predictably, Texas is having a bad one. And it's not the first time this shit has happened. Like, the loss of life in Texas, even if it doesn't go any higher than it already has, is just, like, inexcusable. Just wildly inexcusable. I've had a very... a very exhausting conversation. The words work. I forgot I turned this back on. Exhausting conversation with someone I was friends with in college who's gone very libertarian about, like, okay, but what's happening in Texas is bad, and it's corporations doing it. It's bad. And he's like, well, the people of Texas should decide for themselves. I'm like, yeah, they should. The people of Texas never voted on a plebiscite. They didn't vote this shit into place. It was a bunch of companies being like, oh, we're gonna get together, organize ourselves, and operate as an independent contractor. And the government just kind of went along with it, rather than, applying pressure at an already volatile time, i.e. the 1940s, World War II. And this wasn't a standalone incident of corporations in the United States pretending like they would take responsibility for themselves in order to weasel out of accountability to federal authority. I mean, keep in mind the landscape at the time. Like, we were, I was reading Smedley Butler, like a week or so ago. And part of that, his legacy, is his exposing of the business coup. Corporations at this time were angling for fascism. Random comment, but I'm watching CK3 for the first time since release and glad to see the map changes from your China mod were implemented into vanilla. Yeah, me too! When that happened, somebody commented on my mod and was like, they stole it! I'm like, I mean, good. I'm not mad about this. And it's not like I wrote the history, right? I just was like, hey, this isn't historically accurate. Let's try to walk it in a little bit. No, I was pleased that they did the same thing too. It does seem like it turned out to be what I thought it was, and just it got put on the table, cutting room table for time crunch. Like, everything was more or less there in the code to make it. It was just last Sunday? Yeah, you know, I was just saying today to some friends, I don't have a sense of time anymore. It's gone. It's dead. It's never coming back. But anyway, yeah, Texas is real fricked up. Real fricked up. And libertarians are buying into this horseshit being peddled by Fox News, being like, well, the wind turbines are icy. Okay, 10% of Texas energy grid is from renewable energy. 13% of that 10% comes from wind power. We're talking about, like, 2% of their power grid, if that were true. And it's not true. On the 15th, actually, the wind power in Texas was overproducing over what had been estimated, as was solar. The problem was that coal, natural gas, and nuclear power plants did not have proper cold protection in place. And those plants shut down. It was these older, more volatile fuel sources of energy that actually were the ones having the problems. But these motherfuckers don't research anything. Libertarians, I mean. They listen to one podcaster or watch one fucking news program, one corporate news program, and act like they're the big understander. They don't look for citations for the sources. They don't look at the history of anything involved. They don't do their own fucking research. They just be like, yep, nope, it's... Ugh, God. PDX yoinking shit from mods without enacting like it's their own concept is a thing, but in your case, it was just picking up their own dumpster. Yeah, I mean, that is part of making mods for Paradox, right? People might not be aware of this because they might not read the legal jargon, but mods you make for Paradox games, as is the case for many mods, it's their code. It's their base code. They still own it. So if you do something that they like, they reserve the right to copy it and iterate on it. Yeah, it'd be good practice to be like, hey, so-and-so did this and we really like their work, so we're borrowing it. And Paradox has a pretty decent history of that. I mean, several members of their team, they hired on from mod projects. I don't know, maybe their practices have gotten worse in recent years since I stopped paying attention, but I recall them being pretty cool. Yeah, big corporations are bad because I got banned from Twitter, but also... yeah, but also I'm just gonna believe what this particular one tells me because it's telling me something I want to believe. They're just so fucking stupid. And, like, I didn't want a conversation with this guy. I posted something, he hopped in a comment section and with one of those, well, actually kind of tones to his writing. So I responded by explaining the history and the reality of the situation. And his reaction was, well, I don't want to talk about it anymore because we have a difference of opinion. And I responded saying, we don't have a difference of opinion. This is a matter of fact and history, not opinion. You are wrong. And it's fine if you don't want to carry on about this anymore. His response is, meh, I'm not gonna read all that. I'm like, okay. So I unfriended him, and then he just kept commenting on shit, and I'm just not engaging with it. Like, you just like the sound of your own voice, my dude. Like, you just want to pop in, feel smart and smug, refuse to engage with any new information, and then fuck off. Wait, I don't get it. I don't get libertarians. Like, it'd be one thing if they were smart. It'd be one thing if they had good arguments and they were actually, like, debate lords and coming in and totally owning people. but they, like, suck at it. They don't provide evidence, they don't cite sources, even incorrect sources. They just come in spouting off arguments that they've heard before, then get indignant and impatient if you don't immediately go, oh my god, you're right. If you put up any kind of resistance or hesitation, they're just like, you sheep, you're not worth my time. Like, okay, alright. You do you, buddy. You do you. Aren't libtards supposed to be all about the free market on this? Yeah, this motherfucker was like, well, the people of Texas wanted this. I'm like, they didn't. The company did. And he just kept on going on about how, you know, it was up to the Texans. And like, it isn't, though. Like, I hear your rhetoric, your fake populist rhetoric. I'm responding to that fake populist rhetoric by identifying that this isn't meeting the standards that you supposedly believe in. And your response is, I don't want to talk about it anymore. Like, you can't just take your ball and go home. I mean, you can, but it's, like, very evident that's what you're doing. And, like, buddy, I didn't ask you to be here in the first place. You came to my... You knocked on my door saying, hey, actually, you're wrong. I'm like, no, I'm not. Socialism win little iPhone, communism win no iPhone. Bob Libertarian, yeah, I don't know. A lot of these libertarians are really, they're well-meaning. They're well-meaning, but like woefully incapable of critical analysis. Not all of them, there are a lot of bad ones, but particularly the libertarians that I engage with, they're not bad people. They're just kind of lacking the ability to critically analyze shit, which is pretty bad. Now, a lot of libertarians, there's a lot of like white nationalism and racism and like all kind of isms tied up in there. In this case, it's just ignorance. I'm not saying that this person is unintelligent. I'm not of that persuasion. I feel like they're being stubborn and dumb about this, but I know they have the capacity for doing better. Well-meaning, press X'd out. Yeah, specifically the few libertarians I keep in my life. I have purged many of them from my social circles. It's just been a couple who are still vaguely capable of... They haven't gone full bore yet, and I'm trying to pull them back from the brink. If that makes sense. But like, holy shit, it's not worth it. It's not worth it. They're really not worth my time, is where I'm at today. Like, dog, if you really are a populist, why don't you believe in any populist shit? Why do you just believe whatever the fucking corporation that pretends that it doesn't like corporations is telling you to do or think? Like, why big man podcaster daddy is who you're listening to instead of the people? Socialism bad. Is it? Socialism is the natural evolution of any healthy populism. Yeah. So that's been my day today. I'm like not upset at all. I'm just like, you know what, this isn't worth my time. It's not me, it's you. I believe in the will of the people unless the people democratically elect a left-wing government. And then I believe in the people's right to be cooed by the CIA. They're just one of those people who really fundamentally think that some big confrontation with the government is inevitable. They're not a boogaloo boy, but they're adjacent. Yeah, I think they, like so many other people, have to help themselves. Leftists, it is not our job or our calling, unless you want to make it your job or calling, and God help you if you do, to reach people who are intentionally, repeatedly, stubbornly proving themselves to be ignorant and subjecting themselves to ignorance. Like, one of the big and classical problems that socialists and leftist organizers have run into is media and visibility. Because you have libertarians who not only typically come from wealth and power and therefore have more access to wealth and power and visibility, but they also unwittingly enable it, or wittingly, if they're just being grifters about it, enable the very systems that they're apparently bothered by. Ooh, damn. Look at that. I don't have Silk Touch with me, though, so I can't fuck with that. Yeah, it's a big ask. It's a big ask trying to reach people who don't want to be reached, trying to teach people who don't want to be taught, trying to communicate ideas to people who are closed off to new ideas. I mean, fundamentally, Marxism is an understanding of economics, an understanding materialism, dialectical materialism, is a lens by which we look at the world from a fairly scientific angle, right? It's a critique, and it's open to and encouraging further critique and analysis. And as a basis for an economic ideology, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. A lot of these people are lacking that kind of genuine will to engage in good faith. They just want to be right, and they just want to be told that they're right, and they just want to feel smart and smug. I'll teach right-wingers how to eat this pussy, take it or leave it. I mean... Okay, there's like two jokes I want to make in response. Number one is, why would you do that to yourself? Number two is some joke about, oh god, I thought that was an actual pig, not a pig one. Some joke about time for me to become a libertarian. I don't know. It was a joke that it had a lot of direction, or a prompt for a joke that had a lot of direction. Didn't know where to run with it. just saying our options aloud. Yeah, I don't know. Like, there have been points in my life, and I've talked about this before, where I had the possibility of going down an alt-right pipeline pretty easily. And so that makes me very sympathetic to people who are or have, and being like, hey buddy, like, I want to help you not do this, and I know you're not hopeless because I can see the rationale and understand the psychology of what's happening, and I want to help you. But unless they want to be helped, and this was the case for young me too, unless you genuinely engage with information, new information, it doesn't matter what people tell you. It doesn't matter what tactics people approach you with. It's always going to be the same way. Change has to come from within, more often than not. You can't just forcibly re-educate people. You can't convince people. You can't debate your way into changing ideology. I really don't think you can. I feel that most debate is a waste of time and is only done to make people feel superior and smug. Like, so often people's political standing is based off of their class, their finances, their access to materiel, access to, you know, all these other factors that will much more actively make them reactionary or not, right? What are those pigs doing? Okay. there's not a lot of ways you can talk someone into class consciousness. You can't forcibly re-educate people, not with that attitude. Now back to building a gulag, yeah. Well, did the gulags actually successfully re-educate people? No. Did they turn reactionaries into productive labor? Yes. Is that a good thing? No, probably not. I mean, I like to believe in a prison-free state. Prisons, particularly in the United States, are real bad. And I do kind of buy into this kind of Buddhist bullshit that our lot in life is to try to decrease suffering in any way we can, and prisons are easy. I feel like there's gotta be a better way. Turning reactionaries into husks of the man-children they used to be is a good enough solution for you. Yeah, and I can appreciate that viewpoint, right? Like, I can definitely understand the motivation, but I am a compassionate person. And yeah, it ain't for me. Not to say that people who want bad things for reactionaries aren't compassionate. Oftentimes, a lot of the vindication, a lot of the anger, a lot of the frustration and violence people commit is fueled by compassion. Compassion for their victims, compassion for those who were hurt by them. It's pretty vicious. Yeah. Now, the only thing I really have found myself regretting is that I don't have more leftists around. I've been hearing amazing stories about what the DSA chapter back in the town I grew up in Indiana, West Lafayette, Indiana, what they're accomplishing. And I'm like, well, shit. That's great. They're doing some amazing things. Why the fuck wasn't that a thing when I still lived there? I would have loved to have gotten on board with it. And now I'm like trying to talk to people I know in Lafayette, and I'm like, hey, you should join this. I don't know any of these people personally, but like, you should get involved. And they're all not as radicalized as I am, and they're like, well, you know, you bring up some good points with socialism, but I'm not ready to do a praxis. I'm just like, I would be. Last stream it was Sikhism, now it's Buddhism. You gotta pick one religion to simp for? No, I don't. I can simp for many of them. Taoism is actually my jam. Buddhism, I really like. Taoism, I really like. Sikhism is like incredibly cool, but not for me. I don't have to pick and choose. They want you to pick and choose. But they're not actually exclusive, because none of the shit's real. None of the metaphysical stuff is real. The philosophy, the material impact on your lived conditions, that shit's real. Material impact on your community, that's real. Taoism? Oh no. T-A-O-ism. Cock's rusty pipe with syndicalist intent. No. I promise. The good kind of Taoism. The Chinese kind. And Taoism is super interesting. It still has a bit too much of that filial piety crap held over from other Chinese philosophy, but it's heading in a really interesting metaphysical kind of existential direction. I love its exploration of the Tao, the way of things. And when I'm talking about Taoism, I'm talking about like Taoist writings. I'm not talking about, yes, I'm gonna make you a fucking potion out of things that'll probably give you cancer, that'll make you live forever. And gunpowder. No. That's not the part of Taoism I find fascinating. Yeah, the important thing is Taoism, not a religion. A lot of Chinese schools of thought, Chinese philosophies, they're not religions because the Chinese, obviously, given the 1800s, 1700s, the even 20th century, have very, very traumatic responses to the idea and concept of religion. I mean, even Buddhism was considered, like, antithetical to Chinese culture when it first started arriving a long, long time ago. So most Chinese scholars you'll talk to will not be like, oh yeah, Taoism's a religion. They'll be like, fuck you, it's not a religion. We're not Western barbarians. Isn't Taoism's the My Universal Energy something one? No, Taoism and Buddhism have a lot of similarities. Taoism is this sense that there is a universal way of things, that things have a Tao. Tao or Tao, it's the same fucking word, just spelled differently because white people trying to write Chinese words with our writing system. Wade Giles is bad, and that's all I gotta say on that. Pinyin is superior. Taoism is, at its heart, an exploration at trying to, through meditation and observation, understand the way of things. It gets very metaphysical in, like, this notion that if you understand the way of the universe, then you can, like, step outside of it. But Taoism, in Taoist writings, a lot of it calls for some pretty neat shit. I'm not concentrating very well right now. I'm not being well spoken. I went off on my Taoism mod in CK3, detailing, like, the differences between Taoism and game, and how that was just, like, not what Taoism was. Like, Taoism isn't, like, a strict morality system, like it was portrayed in CK3. Like, that is not its jam at all. Let's see what Wikipedia has to say. I haven't looked at the Taoism article in a long, long time. Is a philosophical tradition of Chinese origin which emphasizes living in harmony with the Tao, or the way. The Tao is a fundamental idea in philosophical schools. In Taoism, however, it denotes a principle that's a source, pattern, and substance of everything that exists. Taoism differs from Confucianism by not emphasizing rigid rituals and social order. Yeah, Confucianism is, like, real prescriptive when it comes to so much in what you do. Some weird Taoist sects believe that, like, the body is sacred, and even, like, cutting your nails or toenails or fingernails is bad, and, like, some people keep, like, jars of hair clippings and fingernails. Like, there's some weird shit that can come out of this too. It's not about moral prescription so much as Confucianism is. More about achieving perfection by becoming one with the unplanned rhythms of the universe, called the way or the Tao. Taoist ethics vary depending on the particular school, but in general emphasize the Wu Wei, action without intention, naturalness, simplicity, spontaneity, and the three treasures of compassion, frugality, and humility. It's really not that bad. It's really not that bad. It's quite cool. If you ever go down the religion rabbit hole, you'll go for South American native religions like a good colonialist. You know, hell yeah. I just am fascinated by Chinese history, Chinese culture. Just, it's so old. Anyone who has a genuine love for history and isn't, like, attracted to China is racist, is xenophobic. Like, they have cities that have been around for thousands of years. Yeah, sure, Europe has a couple that are like almost as old, but China has like many that have been lived in since like moments of history we can barely remember. That is the raddest shit. I mean, the vast majority of humanity lives in Asia, and the vast majority of them live in China. So, to me, exploring these philosophies is more like, this is actually what the majority of humanity believes in. And if, as an anthropologist, as a historian, I'm interested in exploring what it means to be human, then I should probably see what the majority of humanity is up to. And that thing is dangism, unfortunately. Dang. Between every name being written in 4 different ways and all the names sounding same-ish to my Indo-European brain, Chinese history fucks with your head. That's fair. That's super fair. Well, I mean, it's not an easy language either. Like, sure are 5 different fucking words. Like ma, and ma. One of those is mother, one of those is grandmother, one of those is horse, and I don't remember what the other one is. It's such a fucking logical language, and if you understand it, apparently it's like really elegant. I don't understand it. I've tried to study it, and like, I'm with you, my white brain is just like, me taught language not like this. What's that one Cantonese poem that's like 90 seconds long and it's all the same, I'm not gonna say it's the same fucking sound, I get what you're getting at, but there are, yeah, you gotta retrain your ear to understand the differences. I mean, to be fair, English has a poem that's buffalo, 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 buffalo. And that is, in English, a completely coherent and grammatically correct sentence. Buffalo, 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 buffalo is a grammatically correct sentence in English. So it's not like we don't have this shit either. But in Mandarin and Cantonese and Chinese languages generally, especially from the outside, it sounds like, how can I tell the difference? But again, it's xenophobia to be like, nah, Chinese is crazy. English does the same shit. English is a bad language. Chinese does it intentionally and has rules about it. Yeah, but I studied for almost a quarter of my life to understand this accursed language, and even then, I barely do so half the time. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I was raised on this bullshit language. Yeah. This is why I've picked up trying to learn Chinese 2 or 3 times, and now I just can, like, understand when people are mad. Which, you know, it's better than not being able to tell. But, yeah, I got a lot of learning to do. If you, when I have my webcam on, and I don't right now because I need to shave, and I don't like how much facial hair I have going on right now. I mean, I think objectively I look good, but I ain't about it. And also, like, I don't want to put on, like, clothes, like real people clothes. I have on, like, an oversized hoodie, and I'm very comfortable. I don't want to get dressed up and play Minecraft. I just want to sit here in my oversized hoodie and nothing else, and just talk about politics and bitch about things and not have to look nice. Yeah, having facial hair is a curse. People who are born with the capability to have facial hair and love it, I don't get it. I don't get it. Like, when I was a teenager, I'm like, haha, cool, this is novel. It's a curse. It's just work. It's just, I've talked about this before. It's like having a fucking parasite. It's this uncontrollable biological organism that literally leeches nutrients off of me that I can't stop from growing without, like, serious expensive surgery that I can't afford. And makes me feel bad. Like, I don't like the way it looks. Like, it sucks. Alex, it sounds like that's some gender dysphoria. That'd be right, inner Alex. Yes, straw man, that's correct. Yeah, facial hair sucks. I'm not a big fan. You know what? Let's give Mal a sword. Let's give Mal a sword. How did I even give you? How did I even mod you? How did I do this? Click the icon of a person with a plus sign. What? There's no icon! You fucking... Can I just... Yeah. I'm like, can I just mod Mal? There you go. Enjoy the sword, Mal. There are no responsibilities that come with this. Just means you can ban people and time people out if you want to. Don't abuse the power, but you know, you have a good head. You got good judgment. Welcome to the Sword Tom Club. There's never a circumstance when I'm streaming that I won't pause to get people out of here. But also, if, like, you see something and I'm not paying attention, feel free to, like, you know, if there's transphobia in chat, yeet that shit. If there's homophobia in chat, etc., you now have the power to be the change you want to see in the world and get them the fuck out of here. But yeah, hair sucks. It'd be I don't have like a 3 strikes you're out policy. 1 strike, you're probably out policy. Like, I have, before you can even chat on this channel, you have to read through and click through something saying like, I agree to not be a dick. And if they go ahead and be a dick, well, it sounds like a them problem to me. I have a whole stack of this. Do I want to keep going? Where did I even come in? I should probably leave. Because there's more glowstone forever. Yeah. Man, I lost my train of thought. Anyway, you know, I said something to the effect of quite a few months ago that libertarians are just like bad anarchists. They're just like sad anarchists. They're like so fucking close to actually being respectable anarchists, but they don't have the nerve to actually say that corporations are bad. And instead it's just like, government's scary. And me mad at government because I believe the government still has power, which is laughable. But yeah. As time has passed, okay, we're not getting closer to where I want to be. Hey, you little shit. That's where I want to be going? Yeah, that seems about right. Can I zoom? Yeah. Oh god, there's like a quarter-second delay on the zoom here. Yeah, that's where I'm going. You disliking your facial hair makes the fact that you were simping for Sikhism even funnier. Again, I would never be an adherent to it, but I think it's cool as hell. Just because I don't like my facial hair doesn't mean that I don't like when other people like it and, you know, are proud of theirs. Hell yeah, you do you. For me, though, nah. like I'm not one of those people who roll up when a trans guy is talking about, like, man, I'm so excited to have facial hair, and being like, actually, it's bad? Like, no, that's... Just because I don't like it on me doesn't mean other people can't enjoy it. It does make it hard to relate to moments of joy for trans brothers out there who are like, dude, I'm so excited about this. I'm like, I'm happy for you. I really am. But thinking about hair is like dysphoric for me even. Vicky 2 mod, I mean, it's out. Well, what are you asking when about? It's done. It's not done, but it's out. Go look at the video description on the YouTube video. It is out. If it's not done, but it's out, and it's been out for, oh god, like it's been out since June, I think. Is that right? It's been out since August, I think. I don't know. Again, time doesn't really matter, right? Yeah, there's some installation instructions. Some buggy shit happens with Victoria 2 when there's... Oh god, I'm not on any Victoria 2 Discords. I mod, like, entirely in isolation. Like, if I'm not streaming, it's hard as hell to get me to engage online. I work, like, constantly. I might check it out. I've been invited to a couple of mod teams that I would actually love to work with. But I'm lazy and, like, clinically depressed. So, I'm unable to actually, like, really commit to working on stuff. I get anxious about, like, well, I'm just gonna get depressed and not actually be able to... Yeah, you know, if you want to share it on there, if you're on there, go right ahead. I shared... You know, I haven't even shared it on the subreddit in a long time. I shared it on the subreddit when I first started working on it, and people were like, "It's so cool." I'm like, thanks. It's never gonna be done. Lazy and clinically depressed are two characteristics of the... You say PDX modders, I think just like artists. And yeah, I'll take that problematic stance. I don't wanna be depressed, but I do think that it can help. Yeah, you know, the mod's a pain in the ass to install. It'll crash probably when you are installing flags. That's because Victoria 2 has limited RAM allocated to how long it's supposed to take to making the flag files. There's a post explaining how to get around that. Enjoy! And post with complaints and critiques and stuff to fix. Because, like, I'm not working on it because I don't even know what to do with it. It's fine, yeah. Alright, we got about a metric shit ton of shroom lights. They're just gonna go, like, immediately. This is just gonna be depressing as hell. Spending all that time, like 40 minutes getting more shroom lights, and they're just gonna go like that. I sincerely regret the amount of time when I was younger that I enabled people around me to be shitty because I was afraid of losing them. I actually had an instance of this yesterday, and I think it was a call Mal was in. Or, no, Mal, you weren't in the call at the time. It's a call that you're aware of, though, and you probably know exactly who I'm talking about. People made a joke that was about... They were making a lot of jokes about wood, like, haha, dick joke. But then somebody made a dark wood joke, and I'm like, why did you have to take a good dick joke, double entendre, and add a racial component to it? Like, this is so unnecessary. So fucking unnecessary. But they're a bunch of overgrown children, and I don't really have the time to fucking moderate them and be like, hey, maybe don't make jokes where race is the punchline. Bunch of fucking white people who aren't doing a goddamn thing to help anybody. So, no, I have not been playing Valheim with the crew. I've been playing Stellaris, and I haven't even been doom scrolling that much. I've been modding and playing Stellaris. Oh, you know what? I've actually been modding Stellaris. You, want to see what I did yesterday? This, just a fucking, these are name lists from Stellaris. This is the default UNE name list. This is the Commonwealth of Man name list, and this is the weird Roman one they added because, I don't know, man. Paradox. I made a fourth one for my naming conventions because I got sick of renaming shit. And this took a long fucking time. None of this... It wasn't a long time out. It was just like a one-off joke, but like that happens in that group fairly often, and I'm just... Yeah, we talked about this like a week or two ago. You can tell they're kind of trying, but holy shit, they're bad at it. Like it takes so much time. Yeah. I had to come up with name lists for everything, and there's like hundreds of words in here. This was actually really fun to work on. So, if you're watching this on YouTube and showed up for Minecraft, suck it. We're talking about Stellaris modding now. Corvettes, all of these are names of famous battles or sieges or campaigns. Destroyers are named after the tallest mountains in the world, and like, holy shit, I can't pronounce most of these. So I learned a lot about mountains yesterday. Cruisers are after the most populous cities currently on Earth and historically on Earth. Battleships are named after gods of war? Or warrior gods, or gods with warrior aspects. Titans are named after the heads of different polytheistic pantheons. Colossus are named after... Ooh, what did I name? Messenger gods? No, gods of the underworld. Or death. Juggernauts are just named after the seasons. Constructors are named after rivers. Colonizers are named after the oldest cities that we know about, rather than like the Mayflower and other cringy shit. Science vessels aren't named after Nobel Prize winners anymore. They're named after concepts. Concepts around inspiration, discovery, invention, that kind of stuff. Transports are named after messenger gods. Military stations are named after igneous rocks. Ion cannons are named after... super volcanoes. They should add a few random city names to the battle ones just to account for wars in between present and totally benevolent galactic state. Yeah, I might. But this is just looking at real history. But the longest thing, planet names are named after gods who make sense there. So, like, these are names for Earth gods. These are specifically, like, deserty gods, etc., etc. This shit took forever. I looked up the most popular names in every country on Earth and made a list of them all. You'll see here is a nice little insight into how many fucking different spellings of Muhammad there are. I got rid of all duplicates except when the duplicates are spelled differently. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, no, sorry, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, at least 7 different spellings of Muhammad out there. It's crazy to me. It's crazy to me. Muhammad is one of the most popular names on the planet, by the way, if you were not aware. But also, like, Europeans spell shit spell the same names like a hilarious variety of ways as well. This legitimately gave me a headache to work on. And I added this to the prior names, so it should just add variety. Yeah, that's what I did last night, and it was actually super fascinating and informative. It was a good time. Yeah. I'm doing pretty okay. I'm staying comfortably busy. I'm not really motivated to work on my Stellaris mod too much right now because, like, I don't know what to add to. Okay. Minecraft physics. I'm not really sure what to add to it. And with the DLC in the works, I'm not really motivated to fuck around when they're just gonna add new stuff I'm gonna have to fix. Yeah. We'll keep an eye on it. This looks obnoxious as hell. Like, please do not think for any extended period of time that I like how this looks. It's just, I started a pattern, and now I want to carry the pattern to its logical extreme just to see what it looks like. The cobblestone, I just straight up hate how it looks. These I like that they emit light, and that's basically the core motivator here, is shiny rock. I do like that people do pop in and be like, hey, when's that mod gonna be out? I'm glad you care. I'm glad people are actually excited or interested enough in it to care about it. I don't love what's the finished product right now. Like, it's alright. I don't know. I've added quite a bit of content. It just doesn't feel like it's living up to what I had wanted out of it. Like, playing as the indigenous people, indigenous nations, you can't win. You can't win. And I think, God, the fucked up thing, in the 1830s and 40s, it might have already been too late for any kind of meaningful, direct resistance to Western imperialism expansion. I don't know, and that's a really uncomfortable subject, because in designing a mod or a game, I'm prescribing a take on reality, right? I'm being like, this is true. Or at least my understanding of the truth. And when part of that is balancing to make things possible or impossible, part of that comes down to me having to own up to and take ownership of the fact that it's like damn near impossible as an independent native nation to survive. That's really I don't like that. That's gross. But also, like, this is on the heel of hundreds of years of resistance. Like, this is a couple of decades after Tecumseh's War here in the United States, which was regarded by many as maybe the last real chance for an indigenous coalition to stand up to the United States in martial terms. Because after Tecumseh's War, the United Kingdom backed off of supporting indigenous nations in the United States against American expansion. And without that kind of foreign industrial superpower backing them up, it really became, well, the future of strife and conflict between the United States and the conquered nations of North America became asymmetric warfare. And Victoria 2 does not show or play asymmetric warfare well at all. I mean, it doesn't even do warfare very well, if I'm being honest. And it's not a brave take. It's an older game, and what's beautiful and exciting about the game is the economics of it and the politics of it, not the war aspect, which is cool and I like it. Yeah, so that's... I'm really iffy on the product and project that I've made. There's a game on Steam that actually has made me think a lot about it. This Land is My Land. This Land is My Land, and I'm just gonna pause this so we don't get DMCA'd. This Land is My Land is basically this experience that a lot of people commenting on my Viki 2 videos seem to be wanting, the chance to be able to play as an indigenous power and fight back the colonizers. It's a great power fantasy. However, I haven't bought this game, you'll see it's on my wish list, because I don't know if there are any indigenous people writing this game, working on this game, and it doesn't seem like there are. It seems like it's white people. And you're not playing as like a member of a specific nation, you're just like an indigenous person. This isn't a specific conflict or a specific region, and there's a lot of stuff that feels really iffy about this. Like, it seems conceptually very interesting, this like asymmetric warfare and dynamic that you have to do, this kind of interaction that they're exploring between people resisting imperial conquests of a genocidal power. Like, there seems like there's a lot here, in the same way that my mod, some people seem to be interpreting it as offering that potentiality, but I don't know. I don't know. This lack of confidence that I'm expressing, I'm very comfortable with. I don't want to be comfortable. I don't want to be confident in being like, oh yeah, I'm very sure I did this respectfully, because I haven't worked on the project in a super appropriate way. I haven't contacted members of local nations or nations that I'm portraying in the mod. I haven't reached out to people. I've read stuff that indigenous people have written, and I've tried to, you know, take indigenous accounts into account more so than white people's accounting of history. But I'm a colonizer. and it's not really my place to prescribe the reality of various peoples. Like, all these demographics that I use for populating states and determining where people were, all of that demographic shit is from white people accounts. And I talked a lot in designing the mod and working on the mod how troubling and problematic that was, just from a accuracy perspective. Even all ethics put aside, I wasn't trusting my sources, because white people should not be trusted when it comes to talking about the genocide of people that they genocided. Like, they're gonna have skewed accounts and skewed memories and skewed histories of what happened, especially when it comes to body counts, especially when it comes to how big and populous certain groups were, because the conqueror benefits in downplaying that in order to not make themselves look as much of a villain as they were. And I don't know, it's just, God, it's uncomfortable territory. Yeah, if it's just a bunch of whites, making a generic Native American nation is way better than completely misrepresenting a specific people. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Pueblo, by the way, contentious term. Pueblo means ancient enemy. It's not the word that descendants of those ancestors typically use. Pueblo is what white people refer to them as, but Hitsatsunomi? Let's see if I remember how to pronounce it. Hitsatsunomi? Hitsatsunom? Pueblo means people. I was thinking of Anasazi. No, you got me. Yeah, Hitsatsunom. Oh, get out of here. God, this is a 2005 article. Hitsatsunom, God, refers to ancestors. It doesn't account for other Pueblo groups, such as Zuni or Acoma. Yeah, Pueblo just means people. Or the people. Anasazi, right. Anasazi was this word I was forgetting. And I'm so glad I actually forgot the word. Pueblo is appropriate. Anasazi is not. Anasazi is a word a lot of white people use when referring to damn indigenous people long back who made all these cool structures but aren't around anymore. Yeah, I should have said Pueblo. Pueblo means people. Pueblo can also mean like home. Nah, yeah. That was entirely me misremembering. That was me pulling a gringo. That was not you doing bad. Pueblo mean house. Listen, I'm tired and I've been reading about the nightmares of the Texas energy grid. It's important to point out, I'm not dunking specifically on Texas. A lot of liberals have been showing their whole ass and how much they just don't care about people. Today and yesterday, being like, haha, sucks, doesn't it, Texas? People are dying, Janice. People are dying. This is not the time to be smug about, well, look what's happening in that red state. You're not winning anyone over by being like that. What is your problem? Why do you want this state with a lot of minorities to die? What you should be doing is like, holy shit, they need help. I live in a richer state with a lot of resources. Maybe I can petition like my state government or government federal representative to take some meaningful action to help these people who are desperately in need. Nah, let's just bash on them. It's that cold? Yeah, like, it's very well below freezing there. And it has been for quite a while now. And even the power outages are a serious thing because people on ventilators, people who require oxygen, people with serious disabilities require electricity to live. So this isn't some like, haha, it's just like cold and dark. It's cold and dark and people are dying. Like, the amount of property damage being done to people who can only afford to rent, with pipes bursting and having their homes taken away from them, or made unlivable, with nowhere to go because Texas has a terrible infrastructure for providing for the unhoused people who live there. I mean, it's bad. It's very bad. It is a legitimate national emergency, but a lot of libs are just like, heh. Texas, am I right? My point that I was wrapping around to is I've learned that Texas is not the only independent, it's ISO, what does it stand for? Like, independent, agency when it comes to their power grid. They are noteworthy, and the Texas interconnection is disconnected largely from the rest of the country, so we can't just like plug them into the grid and give them power that they need. Like, they very intentionally made it so we can't do that, so they're not subject to federal authority. Just smart stuff. Just the biggest brain moves, and like, whew, wow, who could ever see that would potentially cause a problem? But there are 9 other more regional authorities that are self-regulating in the United States, which is just horrifying. So hopefully this will be a learning moment. It won't be, alright? I would like this to be a learning moment for people who previously thought of energy or energy regulation or the power grid is an apolitical thing, to learn that it's very political and that we need to seize the means of production and make it democratized and accountable to the people. That won't happen, right? I have no illusions about it, but I sure would like it. Your gut reaction to their power outages in Texas a couple of days ago was, okay, and shit literally happens every year here. Yeah. It's... a lot of people in the United States are being shaken up because this shit happens to other countries. It doesn't happen to us. American exceptionalism has made people really, shitty. It shouldn't happen anywhere. Sustainable, reliable, ecologically responsible energy and electricity should be something that everyone enjoys. Yeah, their hot take is that renewables are bad because turbines froze. Yep, that's the shit being pumped out right now, and it's just... They're talking about how this is a sign about the Green New Deal and how it would kill people. Strange. We don't have a Green New Deal. It's not socialism killing people, it's capitalism. It's a regulatory committee made up by for-profit industry looking out for their own interests, with only a couple of appointed people from the governor's office there to have any kind of a public interaction. It seems like capitalism is killing people, but that's not what Fox News is saying, that's not what conservatives are saying, that's not what the reactionaries are taking away from this. What their takeaway is that frozen windmills are the problem, when there have been windmills operating in Antarctica for a decade. And, like, fuck, Sweden just did a study that windmills and solar power, windmills particularly, can operate at full or higher efficiency during blizzards if maintained and properly. The reason that they aren't working well in Texas is because they aren't well maintained, and they aren't working properly because the for-profit interests have cut down on maintenance costs because they want to protect their bottom line. And they cut off access to natural gas to people, and the power plants who use natural gas quit buying it because it got too expensive that they couldn't get a profit anymore, so they had to wait and propose that the government allowed them to charge people more to make up for their lost costs. And what you know, Texas has sided with the corporations in just billing the customer for the natural gas costs rather than letting the company absorb it. It's very American, it's very capitalist, it's horrifyingly depressing, and I hope this just radicalizes Texans, but there's no telling. There's no telling. Anyway, it's been an hour, so I think I'll stop here. Yeah, I'm alright. Things are going pretty okay for me. But, it's important to try to train ourselves to have this gut reaction of like, wah, fuck you. To not throw the baby out with the bathwater, right? To not throw people who are socialists in Texas, people who are members of minorities in minority communities in Texas, people who are disadvantaged or workers in Texas, not throw them out with these sentiments of, well, yeah, this is what libertarian politics gets you. It is. But our response shouldn't be let them burn. Yeah, let the capitalists burn, totally. Let the people who made these decisions burn. Hold them to account, but they won't be held to account unless we do whatever we can to help people in need, build a movement of solidarity between workers across borders, state borders, national borders, etc. Workers of the world unite, not workers of the world subtweet. Gonna be back later or just still hours in sleep? I don't know. I'm actually cutting it off right now because I have a headache, which has been happening the last few days. It's like 10 p.m. I have no idea what the fuck I'm getting up to. I'd like to promise to be back, but I have no clue. Anyway, if you're watching on YouTube, I'm gonna wrap up the recording anyway. Till tomorrow, toodaloo, take care, see you then. Bye. Clicks on stop record button. Stop record button doesn't stop recording. Classic.